suppose this is what you were expecting to see when you switched on today. I am going to be vlogging my holiday to Centre Parcs in Woburn over half term with Matilda and my husband Jamie, just showing you a little bit of what we're doing, but mainly what I've been reading. And at the end of it, Matilda doesn't know yet, but we're going on a one-day surprise trip straight off the end of Centre Parcs up to Birmingham to something called Brick Live, which is a Lego convention aimed at children, I think. We've not been before, but we just thought it looked good, so I'm going to take you along with me to that. But it's the day before we go. I'm waiting for my hair dye, which is L'Oreal's Casting Cream Gloss in Chili Chocolate, to take effect. 20 minutes, and then I can wash it out. This isn't a colour I've used before. I normally go and use their sort of chocolate brownie one, or sort of a darker brown, but I fancied a bit of red in my hair, so I thought I'd give it a go. So hence why I look so interesting, and hence why I'm wearing a bit of a strange cover up, because I didn't want to get anything covered in hair dye. But I thought I'd sit down and just chat to you about some books that I've been reading before we go, because I'm not sure if I'm going to talk about them otherwise. I haven't done many videos this month, if any, wrapping up what I've been reading. And I've done quite a few non-fiction videos of recommendations, and I think the reason why I haven't picked up the camera and spoken to you about what I've been reading is that I haven't been reading anything that's really blown me away. I felt a bit lackluster. I haven't had many 5 stars. In fact, I've had 1 5-star, and when I had that 5-star, I was straight on to filming and talking to you about it. So I think sometimes it takes a really good book for me to want to pick up the camera and sort of chat. So I'm going to talk to you about 3 books. 2 are part of a trilogy, of which I've got the 3rd to read, and the other one is a new to me author, just because they seem to be sort of the best of the crop that I've read so far. So I'm going to have to pick you up because you're actually resting on them at the moment. So let me hold you up. Hold on. So the first book that I want to talk to you about, hold on while I grab it, is a new to me author, and that is Lingus by Mariana Zapata. I had this on my shelf, but also I really wanted to read it and listen to it on audio, and I was just in the mood for an audio. I wasn't in the mood for any of the fancy audios that I was meant to be reading, and so I thought I'd pick this one up, and it just had a really interesting premise. Let me see if I can put you back down again. So the idea behind this one is that we start off, we've got a girl and her best friend, and they are off to a porn convention. I know. They are going to a porn convention. Her friend is sort of dragging her along. She's, you know, a 20-year-old, a woman in her 20s. She likes porn. She's gone to this porn convention. She wants to get something signed, and she just wants to have a look round. And she ends up chatting to this guy while her friend is queuing up to meet someone and have herself signed. I say herself signed. If you read it, you'll find out why. And she's chatting to this guy. They have a bit of a banter going on. They quite enjoy like chatting to each other, having a bit of banter. She's quite like just normal with him, and they chat, and then they end up inviting him and his friend to a party, and we sort of move forward with that, and it you know, it turns out there's sort of a mistaken identity at the beginning, and we find out, I mean, it's not really a spoiler because you find out quite quickly that this guy she's been chatting to is actually a porn star, and it's about the idea of, because I think, I haven't read any of her books before, but I think Mariana Zapata is sort of quite well known for slow burn romance. And actually this one is a really good example of that, because there is obvious attraction between these 2 characters. However, the main character knows that she doesn't want to have a relationship with someone who is in porn, not as in finished doing porn, retired from it, but doesn't want to be with someone who is actively still doing it, because she feels strange about that and she feels uncomfortable about the idea behind it. And so there's this sort of off limits. They talk about like friendship, and they're having this sort of friendship, but she's struggling because obviously she's got feelings, and it's a really slow burn, interesting story. Not one that I'd heard of before or even thought about personally, not knowing any porn stars, but I just thought it was really interesting, and there's loads of different topics covered in this, and I really enjoyed it, so I ended up giving this one 4 stars. I did then go straight on to listen to another one of hers called Rhythm, Chord and Malachim, I think it is, and I only got 50-60% of the way through that on audio, and I really didn't like it. So I think for me, maybe it's the characters that she's talking about. So this one for sure I really enjoyed. It's called Lingers. And then the trilogy I want to talk to you about, the first two that I've read are Vendetta. I don't know if you can see these. Vendetta by Catherine Doyle, and the sequel Inferno, and then there is a third called Mafiosa. Hold on, let me restack my books again. So I picked up these two because they were on my TBR for the month. I've had them for ages and they really needed reading. And the first one, Vendetta, is the start. I love the spine on this, Blood for Blood. And I had this idea that it's sort of a Romeo and Juliet. It came out quite a long time ago. I think I picked them up at sort of the beginning of when I started making booktube videos. And it's about Sophie, and it's about this this new family that moves in next door, and she has this attraction to one of the boys there. And Sophie's got things going on in her life. Her father's in prison and her mother aren't coping too well with that. It's the summer holidays. And then these boys end up, you know, being not what she expected. There's secrets, we're thinking of sort of mafia and things like that. And this one, I have to say, I was a bit lackluster about. I think it was okay, but not great. So I gave it 3 stars, and I was all for thinking, well, maybe I should just not bother with Inferno. Maybe I should just, you know, call it quits and put it on the pile and move on to the next. But it was such a fast read, Vendetta. I read it in a day. I thought, well, I'll just read this one in a day and then it's done. And actually, I really loved this one. I ended up giving this one 4 stars. I was really engaged. I really wanted to read it. The story became so much more interesting. And challenged Sophie more. It became way more out there for sure, but I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed her strength and her character in this, and this move away necessarily from the relationship angle and more to sort of a more meaty story in terms of her and what she's going to do and the sort of danger element. And so I really enjoyed it. So I have ordered the third one, and I think I'll be reading that as soon as it comes, because I really want to know how this story ends now, which is unusual, isn't it? Because normally when you read a book, the second one is sort of second book syndrome and not so good. But I'm really pleased that I sort of made the plunge and went in, you know, to these to the second one. So yes, I definitely recommend, well, certainly the second one, and you know, obviously you've got to get the first one done to get the second one. So there's those. So I'm not going to waste any more time, because otherwise this vlog's going to be huge and maybe I'll have to split it into parts. But we're going to Centre Parcs Monday to Friday. We're going to the one in Woburn, which is the nearest to us, and then on the Friday we drive up to Birmingham, and on the Saturday all day we've got this Brick Live convention thing we're going to. So I'll insert clips and various different things when I remember to vlog, but we've got quite a lot of activities planned, and then I'll let you know what I'm reading while I'm there. I'm hoping to get quite a lot of reading done, and hopefully I'll be able to show you what my hair looks like. So I'll see you in a bit. Hello! So we are on our way to Centre Parcs. It's about 9 o'clock in the morning. My hair is now done, you can see, no longer wet and yucky. And yeah, it should take us about 45 minutes to get there, and I'll show you around a little bit when we do. Okay, so we did some broomstick making. We're all checked in. I hope you enjoyed the quick little tour of where we're staying, and Matilda and Jamie have gone off to the swimming pool. I didn't really fancy it today, so I have cycled for the first time in like 10 years. I've hired a bike. I cycled down to the supermarket to get the bits we need for our dinner. We're having Mexican, and I'm going to pick up this Before the Coffee Gets Cold by Toshikazu Kawaguchi. This is quite a short book. It's about a coffee shop that serves brilliant coffee, but also offers its patrons the chance to travel in time. And we're going to follow 4 people, I believe, who want to travel back in time for certain reasons. But the coffee shop has rules. You have to sit in a certain seat, you have to stay in the coffee shop, and you have to be back before the coffee gets cold. So I think this sounds like a really interesting story, and I'm just really in the mood for it right now. So I'm going to be sitting here for a little bit, reading this, looking at the beautiful outdoors, which is teeming with wildlife. And just read for half an hour to an hour until Jamie and Matilda get back and it's time for dinner. So that's my idea of a really good afternoon, if I'm honest. So I will catch up with you in a little bit and let you know my thoughts on the book. Okay, so I've just finished it. It's the next morning, it's Tuesday morning, and I finished this book, and I really ended up really enjoying this. Sometimes I find that Japanese translated fiction is a bit hit or miss for me. I find that the concepts are a bit too dreamlike, and yeah, I can't sort of read into them as much as I think you're meant to. But with this one, I just really loved it. It's about this cafe, and there's this urban legend that there's a chair in the cafe you can sit in and you can go back to the past and visit a particular time and place you want to. And even though you can do that, there's certain rules that you have to always sit in the same chair. So when you go to the past, you can't get out of that chair. You have to be back before the coffee gets cold, and there's various other rules. I don't want to spoil it. And we sort of follow 4 people in this. We follow someone that wants to go back in the past and confront someone that's sort of left them, someone that wants to find out about a letter that their husband has for them, someone who wants to visit a child, and someone who wants to visit a sister. And the book is really exploring this idea of how, if you can go back into the past, does it change the future? Does it change how things are? Now, one of the rules for this is that if you go back, that doesn't change people's reactions, doesn't change the future for you. So you can't actually change anything. So the sort of big question is, you know, is there any point in this? And I just think this book really explores really well the actual point behind this, and what the reasoning is that the author's sort of trying to highlight. And I don't want to spoil it, because I think that's something that you explore yourself along the way. So I really enjoyed this. I read it, as you saw, sort of over an evening and this morning. I'm going to give this one 4 stars. So I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'm now going to put it somewhere today in Centre Parcs for someone else to enjoy, along with the rocks that me and Matilda have painted. We've been she got given a rock painting kit for her birthday, which was last week or a week ago, and she bought it with us. And so she and I yesterday painted and used some stickers on some rocks, and when we go out on our bikes today, we're going to hide them somewhere for people to find and enjoy. So I'll give you a quick look of that now, and then I'll try and film a little bit of what we're doing today. We're doing some pottery painting this morning, and then we'll be coming back here. Matilda and Jamie are going to carve a pumpkin, and then this afternoon we are doing some falconry, so I'll try and get that on video, because that would be amazing to see all the birds. And then we have hired a cabana, which is like an area in the big subtropical swimming pool area, with a TV and seats and sort of curtained off bit, because we're going to take Matilda there in the evening for the first time from 5:15. So we've got the cabana from 5:15 till 8 o'clock, and it's just a nice space, because I don't really want to swim the whole time, but they'll be in there for ages, so I can sit there and read my book, and we can have some dinner there, and we can use the outdoor rapids at night time, which will be amazing. So let me just quickly show you these stones, and then I'm going to get myself dressed and ready for the day. So this is Matilda's amazing stone. She put POW on hers. and then I went for more of a space theme, so there's my space rock. So we're going to deliver them for people to find today, and cue a bit of a montage.
Birds, bugs, reptiles, amphibians, you name it, as long as it's meaty.
Okay, so it's Wednesday morning, and last night I finished my next book, I Believe in a Thing Called Love by Maureen Gu. I ended up giving this one 3 stars, and I'd given Maureen Gu's book before this 3 stars as well, and I think that's just because it doesn't give me the, I don't know, the sort of romantic feelings. These are sort of rom-coms, they're YA romance contemporary books, and I just want a little bit more of a connection between the 2 characters, which I haven't been getting. This one was fun though. It was about a girl, she's never had a boyfriend, she's a senior in high school, she's valedictorian, she's, you know, top of all her classes, she's perfect SATs results, and she lives with her dad. Her mum died when she was 7, and she just has never had a boyfriend, and then this boy shows up at school who's new, that she's desperate to sort of get to know better and to make her boyfriend, and so in true style she needs some sort of formula to follow, and she decides that she's going to write down the rules of K-dramas and use those to snag the man. And it's just about that. So she's got 2 best friends, a boy and a girl. The girl is a lesbian, and then there is a whole host of sort of other side characters who don't really get enough of a look in my opinion. I feel like there wasn't enough of their characters sort of in there, and enough of their feelings. There was some, but they were really very secondary to the plot, which was for our main character. And she does go through some character growth, she does sort of move forward a bit, but I just felt the main love interest was a bit bland and a bit flat, and a bit he's made out to be one way at the beginning, and then he sort of changes almost too much for it to just be that she's found out more about him. I don't know, there was just something that didn't ring true to me, so I ended up giving this 3 stars. So that's 2 books I've read since I've been here already, which I'm really pleased with. Today we're going nature journaling, which I think means that we're going to go and collect things from nature, and then Matilda gets to make some sort of scrapbook, I think. So we'll find out a bit more about that. We're going for some lunch at Las Iguanas, and then this afternoon we are making sort of a bird feeder, I think, or an animal house. So I'm looking forward to that as well. So it's quite a nice day, it's quite a sort of family day making stuff. I'll try and film a little bit here and there and maybe take some photos, but there's not too much to sort of show. And I think, out of the books that I brought with me, I'm going to read this one next, The Little Shop of Happy Ever After by Jenny Colgan. I think this is sort of an adult romance women's fiction book, so I'm looking forward to reading that and seeing how I get on. It is now Thursday morning and I have just finished The Little Shop of Happily Ever After by Jenny Colgan, and I really loved this one. I would have finished it last night, but I just was so tired I couldn't stay up any longer, but I just read and read and read. It was such an easy read. I've forgotten how easy sort of women's fiction or contemporary romance is, and it was just such a joy to read. I think it's the subject matter that drew me in. It's about a young woman who is losing her job because her library is shutting down, and they're moving in new directions towards more of multimedia centres, and she just loves being around books, and she can't bear these books that are getting thrown away, so she sort of hoards them in the house that she rents a room off of someone who's now become a friend, Surinder. And she doesn't know what to do with her life. She can't really decide, and then she goes on this sort of group bonding teamwork day in the hope of sort of getting a new job at the new sort of new style libraries. And during that day, the man that runs it sort of encourages her to follow her dreams, and she says she's always wanted to own a bookshop, and she discusses with him how she couldn't own a regular one because of the cost of premises and how it's a pipe dream. And he sort of encourages her to look into new avenues and perhaps buy herself a van and turn herself into a mobile bookshop. And this van is located, or she finds this van that would be perfect, but it's up in Scotland and she's living in Birmingham, so she goes to visit it, and it sort of sets this ball rolling about this move to a totally new place, to Scotland, and setting up her own business and finding a place to live and a place to be, and there is sort of romance in there towards the end, and it's just really lovely. It didn't quite, you know, it didn't get into the sort of 5 stars for me. There wasn't enough connection necessarily, but it was really a really lovely book to read, and there was just so many books mentioned in it, and all the way through I was looking up these books, and then I found this forum of people talking in Goodreads, and half the books were made up by Jenny Colgan. That's something I really wish she'd used real books. Because there's plenty of books out there that would have fit into the sort of things that she was trying to say, and then people could go and find them and read them, and I kind of wish that that was a thing. So that was a bit of a shame in there, but it was such a good read. I definitely recommend it if you're looking for something quite light but fun and about books and running a bookshop. It was, yeah, really lovely. So I gave this one 4 stars, and I think so. As you can see, I'm back home, back in the book room, and we've had a lovely time. We've had a really great time at Centre Parcs. We had a really lovely time at this exhibition today called Brick Live, which was a Lego thing, which was interactive. It was aimed at children. Matilda loved it, and she got to play with loads of Lego bricks, and there were some amazing sculptures there as well that I videoed, so I'll leave you at the end of this with a clip of that. It turned out, after I last spoke to you about books, that I become, well, the latest episode of RuPaul's Drag Race UK came on, and so I watched that. And RuPaul's Drag Race UK is the first time I've watched RuPaul's Drag Race, and I just thought, oh, well, it's interesting, and I've become quite hooked, so I've been waiting for the episodes every week. Then I realised that the Drag Race, the original Drag Race from the US, was on Netflix. And so I decided I would dabble my toes, but rather than starting with season 1, because they're now on season 11, or season 11's just finished, I went straight for season 11, and yeah, I haven't really read anything since. I'm going to watch the finale of that tonight, so that's like 13 episodes I've watched in the last few days. And then I'm going to be starting on my non-fiction November books. I have listened to a little bit of my audiobook of Blonde by Joyce Carol Oates, but I'll be documenting my journey on non-fiction November, hopefully with some vlogs, or at least coming in and dipping in and out and showing you things that I've read. So that's coming up. So I'm going to end this video here. I've had a great week. I hope you've enjoyed coming along with us, and here's a bit of a footage of a Brick Live for you to end this video. Bye for now, BookTube.